Everyone seems to be talking about AI and its potential impact on music production and the music industry as a whole. They claim it's super fast in production and all producers will be replaced by machines in the near future. How you can jump from never touching a DAW to releasing on a massive EDM label, followed up by a DJ set in Las Vegas, warming up for Paris Hilton. So what I've encountered is the fear of how quickly music can be made and with little or no experience, and also how it will potentially change everything. But for years, especially in electronic music, innovation didn't come from speed, it came from trial and error. Folk just basically making things happen with machines and embracing those mistakes. Mistakes leading to progress. So my genre of choice is techno. I've always been drawn to how it bucks trends and it is naturally aligned to counterculture, how it's innovative by its very design and errors are built into the very fabric of the groove. So my question isn't what AI can add to music, but what it takes away. And that's regardless of the compute resource that's allocated to it. Let's dig a bit deeper. When people talk about AI music, they usually mean prompt-to-track tools. You describe a mood, a genre, maybe a reference, and a finished piece of music comes back. Technically, that's impressive, but creatively, something important gets lost because these systems don't innovate. They average. Prompt-to-track systems are trained on existing music, existing structures, existing decisions. So what they return is statistically correct, balanced, resolved, and that's exactly the problem. Music that offends, no rules, rarely creates a reason to exist. Banality doesn't come from bad taste, it comes from optimisation. A good example of this is the grid itself. Electronic music is naturally rigid, everything locked to time, perfectly aligned, and yet producers spend years trying to escape that. They add shuffle, swing, micro-timing, they deliberately push sounds off the grid just to make the music feel alive. That's not accidental, it's admission that perfection isn't musical, deviation is. So I'm not saying this from the outside, this is how I actually work when I produce music. I try to remove the decision-making tools that are built into software because that struggle, that resistance is what is key to triggering an emotional response from the audience. Convenience is often sold as progress, more options, more presets, more speed. But access to everything doesn't necessarily lead to better decisions. It often leads to hesitation, endless comparison, and music that never fully commits to a direction. Limitation forces intent, and intent is what gives music character. For me, music comes from commitment, printing audio early, limiting options, accepting instability instead of creating it away. Because once everything is perfect, there's nothing left to react to. That's friction, that's resistance. Isn't a flaw in the process, it is the process. Techno especially isn't about optimization, it's about discovery. Sounds aren't designed perfectly, they're misused, pushed too far, repeated until they either collapse or reveal something unexpected. You don't arrive at that through prompts, you arrive there through time, repetition and error. You can see this in how people still relate to vinyl. Technically it's worse, noise, pitch drift, wear, and yet people describe it as warmer, more human, more alive. Even in digital music, we chase those imperfections. Plugin makers spend years recreating flutter, saturation, instability, the flaws of old analog systems. We're not trying to escape imperfection, we're trying to get it back. AI is very good at imitation. It can recreate style, texture, surface. What it can't do is innovate organically. It doesn't know where decision matters. It doesn't doubt itself. It doesn't commit to a bad idea and then try to rescue it. And that's where innovation actually comes from. I'm not anti-technology or against any innovation in technology. I just think that music requires resistance, and resistance needs a human element. So the question is not whether AI can produce music. At this present time, it's cookie cutter in nature and lacks any emotional soul. It's whether or not removing the struggle is something that can be replaced by AI and machine learning. It's whether or not removing the struggle to produce music, to output the music, to learn, to go through the mistakes and the error correction is something that can be replaced by AI and machine learning. And with that, can that music invoke an emotional response in the listener? I think that's the line I draw. I think there's certain genres that will succumb to AI, but there's others out there that will be immune to it based upon how AI is built using existing data sets. So let's wrap this one up then, and yeah, cheers for listening, and catch you in the next one. Cheers.